evening, everyone. I'm Gary Kaffner.
And I'm Alan Lerner, and we are the moderators of tonight's New Providence Candidates Forum. Our goal for tonight is to provide our residents with an opportunity to hear from each of the candidates. They will talk about several topics related to the borough, and we will hear what they have done for or what they hope to do for the borough. This information will help our residents make an informed decision about the upcoming election.
And we'll start by explaining some of the procedures for the forum, which each candidate has received ahead of time and they've agreed to, both parties have agreed to. Instructions for the candidates: you will have 2 minutes for opening statement, 1.5 minutes for closing statements, 1.5 minutes to answer each question, and 30 seconds for rebuttal should you choose to use it. The candidates will choose, or have chosen already, the order. We pick letters out of a hat. Based on those selections, they'll do their opening statements in the order they've chosen. Alan?
The Democratic and Republican municipal committees have prepared 3 questions each for all candidates to answer. The order of the questions will be based on a coin flip. I will ask the questions prepared by the Democratic committee, and Gary will serve as the timekeeper. And Gary will ask the questions prepared by the Republican committee, and I will serve as the timekeeper. When there is a half a minute left of your speaking time, the timekeeper will hold up a card that says 30 seconds, indicating that you have 30 seconds to finish your answer. At 15 seconds, the timekeeper will hold up a card that says 15 seconds. Please wrap up when you see the stop card. If you continue speaking after the stop card is held up, the timekeeper will say thank you and move on to the next speaker. Personal references about other candidates are out of order. Please note that the camera in the back of the room, the forum is being recorded and will be rebroadcast several times on public access TV, NPTV channels 35 for Comcast customers and 37 for Verizon customers.
And instructions for the audience: no phones, no videos, no audio recording by the audience is permitted. Please turn off your phones. If you have Apple Watch or the like, please turn it off so it doesn't beep. We request that you treat all candidates fairly. Please remain quiet throughout the forum. No clapping, cheering, or calling out, with the exception of the end of the forum when you can applaud for all the candidates. No campaign literature is allowed in the room. And that's pretty much the rules, so whenever you're ready.
So opening statements. We will we'll begin the forum with opening statements. The order will be A, B, C, and unfortunately D is not here with us. You have 2 minutes for each opening statement.
Are we ready?
We're ready.
There we go. Welcome, and thank you everyone for coming out tonight. You know, when I walk through New Providence, I love talking to the residents and hearing about their history in New Providence. Some are born and bred, and some have just moved here. But there's one common theme: they all love this town. And I think we can all agree that there is an outstanding quality of life here. It's safe. We have a great education system, one of the best in the state. We have a thriving downtown. We have community activities and programs that are outstanding. And Jack and I would agree, because we've been here for 30 years, and we raised our 3 children here. They were all involved in many sports and extracurricular activities, all run by volunteers. And we quickly learned that volunteers make up the lifeblood of this community. They touch every area: sports, scouts, nonprofits. Most importantly, our first responders, our EMS and fire, all volunteers. So my husband and I jumped in, volunteering in many different capacities. That led me to Borough Council in 2020. At the time, my friends and family said, "Why are you doing this? You're not a political person." But I never viewed the Borough Council as a political entity. I viewed it more as an extension of all the volunteering that I was doing. And I was right. I quickly learned once I got on council that it wasn't about politics, it's about New Providence. Council works hard to do the best job it can for its residents. There's no personal agendas. We work within our means to make an impact where we can, which is right here at home. For the past 3 years, I've worked on many borough committees where my role is to run the borough with careful, practical, sensible planning and decision-making. But we also represent you, and we work for you. We engage our residents, we ask, we listen, we respond to things that matter to them.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
No applause.
No applause. No applause. Please hold your applause.
Please hold your applause.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you all for joining us. Lisa and I always prioritize talking to our residents, so we're happy to have this opportunity. And thank you to Kathleen for still joining us under these circumstances. I have been on Borough Council since 2018, and I have served on almost every committee that's there. Most recently, I was council president in 2022. People ask me what Borough Council does, and simply put, we do the business of the borough. We approve things that gets operations in motion. This year, I am on 9 committees, such as the Capital Review Committee and the Public Safety Committee. I work with our residents on the Diversity Committee, the Municipal Alliance, and Mental Health Advocacy and Education, which I co-founded with Councilwoman McKnight. And for the boards, I work on the Board of Health, but I also, outside of council, work on the Board of Directors for the Link Initiative Resource Pantry here in New Providence. Lisa and I have been walking around for quite a while, and we talk to our residents to ask how things are going. We've had some great conversations, but overall the sentiment is the same. Things are going great. And I agree with them. New Providence is great. We are safe here. Our police have been accredited 6 consecutive times by the State Police Association. We are fiscally sound. We have a AAA credit rating from all 3 rating agencies, and we prudently budget our items. New Providence is a desirable place to live and was voted as such. All of this didn't happen overnight, and it didn't happen by accident. Rather, it happened through prudent work of mayor and council in the past who plan and diligently work. We proactively look at things coming down the road, and we do research to make sure to see if what we're doing is best for New Providence. Our underlying question is this what's best for New Providence? I've heard talk of new leadership and new ideas, and we check both of those boxes. I'm the senior member on council, and I've only been on for 6 years. We all have different ideas and bring different perspectives. In addition, our CFO, CEO, or CFO administrator are also new. Thank you and have a good night. Thank you. I look forward to questions. And I'm out.
Okay. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge the noticeable absence of my running mate, John F.X. Kane, from tonight's debate. Many of us have experienced the unpredictability of COVID-19 firsthand, and unfortunately, John's journey with it has been a roller coaster. One moment he feels on the mend, and the next the symptoms resurface. He deeply regrets not being able to join us this evening, but I trust we can all appreciate his commitment to health and well-being. Thank you for your understanding and compassion. We asked our Republican colleagues if his statements could be read by his wife tonight, and they refused. New Providence has been home to me and my husband, Ted Pellis, for 33 years, and we can't imagine living anywhere else. Our 3 children, Caitlin, Alex, and Connor Pellis, went through the New Providence school system from K through 12 and love calling this their hometown. Ted and I have invested most of our lives in this community. We plan to spend our retirement years here. For those who don't know me, here are some of my personal assets. As a scientist in the pharmaceutical industry, I improve the quality of life for people around the world by developing medicines and vaccines. My community service with the New Providence Soccer Club, the New Providence Athletic Foundation, and the Sustainability Committee, to name a few, is rooted in the concept that collaboration and deployment of each person's expertise leads to great outcomes. My gun violence prevention advocacy with Moms Demand Action has elevated my ability to tackle difficult issues. These life experiences have taught me to listen, to learn, to examine my own potential bias, and to challenge the status quo, achieving better results for our families and community. I'm humbled to have earned the trust of my neighbors in New Providence over the years. I've demonstrated my ability to engage with people from all backgrounds in politics to achieve common goals for the future of our town. Thank you so much.
Please hold your applause. Okay, so I guess we're going to begin with the questions.
First for round 1.
So are you?
Who's reading?
C.
I'm going to start reading, and then A, B, and then C will, that's how we'll commence. Correct?
No, round 1 is C, A, B.
Oh, okay.
Kathleen.
Well, that's what I asked you.
Who's asking the question?
Okay. I'm asking the first
Oh,
question.
okay, so
then
that's that question.
So C,
Got it.
C, A, B.
See,
Excuse
and I'll
me.
hand it to Lisa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, this is my first time.
Yeah.
Me too.
You're doing great.
Okay, so I'm going to read the first question, and then I'm going to start the clock as soon as I finish the last word. Does that sound fair to everyone?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
What steps will you take to collaborate effectively with the county to ensure our town receives the resources and support it needs?
Union County is a densely populated county with 21 municipalities, some urban areas and some small towns like ours. We know that Union County offers emergency dispatch shared service that New Providence is transitioning to in January 2024. What other shared services are available? Union College just joined Union County's benefits plan. Is that something New Providence considered before switching from the state's health plan and choosing Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield? As council members, we will do our homework to identify the best possible options to consider. Secondly, it's well known that Union County offers a significant amount of grant funding to their municipalities. The Kids Recreation Trust Fund is one of the most heavily relied upon grant in our town. Just a quick Google search turned up dozens of opportunities for grant funding within our county. We need to hire a full-time grant writer to take advantage of these funds. Lastly, there are lots of ways the 21 municipalities are connected, through roads and waterways and service providers and utility companies and parks. We need to leverage the support of our county commissioners to engage with us and other relevant towns on projects like the Passaic River Waterway cleanup or walking trail connections. Cross-town collaborations can result in major improvements to our community. Let's start these conversations instead of trying to do it all ourselves or doing nothing at all.
Okay, so New Providence has an excellent relationship and a well-established relationship with the county, and that's the benefit of mayor and council and going back and working with our legislators and our county commissioners there in the county. We were talking about grants. New Providence receives considerable grants from Union County. One of them is the Recreation Trust Fund for our kids, where we can provide funding for our playgrounds and rec programs. The county gives us funds for instance, recently the gazebo in Veterans Park that was rebuilt courtesy of the Union County. We get significant road grants from Union County, and we partner with them for resources outside of funds. For instance, our Municipal Alliance and our Mental Health Advocacy and Education Committee, we work with the county for resources that we can all share and that we can provide to our residents. So it's a given. It's more than just a financial partnership that we have with Union County. We have a great partnership in that we can tap them for resources and think tanks and help in all different kinds of areas.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
I second what Lisa says about us having a great relationship with Union County. It's well established. We sit down and we talk with them on a frequent basis, and we have a great relationship with the business manager and the administration. As Lisa said, we do receive grants. We don't have an actual grant writer, but we have Allison Smith. And Allison Smith goes out and she tackles absolutely every single grant that she can find. And basically anything that we do, basically we try to find a grant for it. As Lisa mentioned, they do help us with mental health and municipal alliance, but we are joining the dispatch, as you mentioned. We share services with the county for road work. They do our solid waste and leaf disposal, and they help us out with vehicles and equipment as we need them. Basically, one grant that you didn't get a chance to talk about was the library. So recently, New Providence just received the library grant, and we were the largest out of all the towns who received that. Thank you. So in addition with that, you mentioned about the medical benefits. Our borough administrator worked very, very hard to research all the different medical benefits that were out there, and she did so to ensure that we received the most cost-effective measure. So everything that our administration does is to save money, to get grants, and a lot of that is through the great years and years of relationship with Union County.
Would anyone like to rebuttal?
Oh.
I'd like to rebuttal. I'd like to rebut.
And sorry.
I mean, both of you mentioned the great relationship we have with the county, but I've heard Mayor Morgan say multiple times that he tries very hard not to ask the county for money. We're not really quite sure why he says that, but that's on the record. So I'd like to understand what that's all about, but I don't think you get to respond to my rebut. You just get to rebut.
We get our own rebut.
Yeah, I think everyone should have a chance to.
Everybody has a chance to
Rebut.
rebut. Yeah, everybody gets a chance to
Yeah.
rebut. Can I start?
Sure.
Okay.
I've been on Borough Council since 2018, and I've been an active resident for many, many years before that, and I've never, ever heard Mayor Morgan say that he does not take money from the county. Mayor Morgan has a great relationship with, I believe, the administrator lives in Berkeley Heights, and they have a great relationship, and they touch base all the time about trying to save the borough money, so I don't believe that's a true statement. Thank you.
Anything to add?
Not really, but I do want to just say that I have not heard that either, and I know that we do tap into the Union County a lot, and we get a significant amount of grants from them. And like I said, the other resources that we lean on them for as well.
Okay, so round two, the order will be similar. It's Kathleen and then B and then A.
Down the road this way.
So round two. So question, what specifically would you cut to reduce borough taxes? What specifically would you cut to reduce borough taxes? Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready. It's not only about what you would cut out of the budget, it's what you would be able to add through revenue. So I think what we just discussed with respect to grants is a big part of it. I think we should be exploring other options where we can do shared services with other organizations to save money. And in addition, I think there's ways of us building up our economic development so that we have more businesses in town to increase our revenue from those areas as well. Thank you.
So B, maybe you're next.
Yep.
Right, whenever you're ready.
Yep.
Okay. So saying that you are going to cut taxes is a campaign pitch line, when in reality, cutting taxes would really mean cutting services. A major portion of our expenses that we have are statutory, meaning that they are imposed on us, so we have no say over those. So such as health benefits, pensions, and raises for our union employees. So last year, we all felt the pinch when we went to the grocery store or when we really went anywhere because inflation was well over 8%. And we saw significant increases in expenses in our borough as well. Our state benefits went up 22%. Our garbage and recycling went up 8%. Our utilities and gas were up as well. And despite all of this, your borough taxes only went up 1.7%, or about $73 a household. So back in 2008, the borough went through a heavy economic time just like the rest of the country did. We saw a 40% drop in revenues and many tax appeals due to significant amount of commercial vacancies. We did cut services then. We cut garbage pickups, bulk pickups, police personnel and borough personnel were also laid off. And some of these services were never restored. So that's proof that our budget was as lean as possible then and as lean as possible now. We are running so leanly now that it is essentially impossible to cut more without going back to the days when we cut our services. And nobody wants to fire
Thank
police.
Yes. So the borough's stance is that cutting taxes is not fiscally responsible or prudent. What that would do, it would just cause volatility and unpredictability year by year. We believe that residents are better served if they know that tax increases will be steady but low and predictable versus not knowing what's coming year to year. We do begin our budget season as if we were doing some zero-line budgeting. Every line item is reviewed, analyzed, justified. Some line items go up, some go down depending on the needs of the borough. The expenses are reviewed and more cost-effective options are always looked at. For instance, this year we are moving to the Union County Dispatch, and we are going with private medical insurance after the state raised our premiums by 22%. We also believe in the importance of having a sufficient reserve, so that would be equivalent to having an emergency fund at your own home. You know, we need to have that to see us through emergencies. Like Nadine said, financial crisis of 2008 was awful. If we didn't have financial reserves, what would happen is we would go into deficit spending, we would have to borrow, and then the next year you would have increased taxes. So having that low predictable increase of 1 to 2% a year is much better than seeing volatility year by year. Maybe a cut of 5%, then an increase of 10.
Thank you.
What?
I would like to.
Property taxes are the number one complaint that we get from residents as we go to visit them in their homes. It's why people are leaving town. We really need to look at ways of actually reducing taxes instead of promising people to raise them at a low level.
Oh, do you want to go? Okay. No. I'll go next. Oh, we have to go on order. Okay. We are ready.
So New Providence does enter into shared services agreement. We do it all the time. But first we have to make sure that it makes sense for us. We're not just going to enter it without making sure we have benefit. For example, we have the Board of Health with Westfield. We mentioned Union County Dispatch Center. We have DPW equipment with surrounding towns. We have waste co-ops, electric co-ops, county for leaf disposal. But if it doesn't make sense, we reevaluate it, such as our shared dispatch center. Made sense in the beginning, makes no sense now.
Thank you.
I just want to say that, yes, taxes are an issue. But after we explain to residents that of your tax dollars, only 20% stays in New Providence. The bulk of it, nearly 60%, goes to the Board of Education. The other 20% goes to Union County. So with 20%, we have very little wiggle room. We're already operating the borough with no fat. If we were to make cuts, we would be digging into the bone, and we're already exploring every single type of grant possible. So it is lean and efficient already.
Thank you. Round 3. Okay, so this order would be B, A, C.
Okay.
Ensuring that our seniors can afford to live in New Providence and fully participate in our community is a priority. What specific measures or programs do you propose to make our town more accessible and affordable for our senior residents? And begin.
Okay. Thank you very much. We've actually heard that question a lot as well. A lot of times people look to downsize when they retire. So in our 2019 affordable housing settlement, we included something like that. We maximized all of our credits that were available, and that would give us developments that our seniors can move into when they want to downsize. As our incomes decline, they would also become eligible for that. So right now we have the Bradbury houses, which are on Academy Street, which is 22 units, and a new development which is coming up on Mountain Avenue and Southgate Road, which will be approximately 59 units. And tax-wise, how we help people is we make sure that the slow, predictable increases help them plan for the future. We also have several other benefits. We have our borough nurse is available for home visits, and we offer many programs for our seniors.
I think, right?
Yep. Ready?
Yes. So as Nadine said, we have been asked this question by many residents, and it is a growing concern in many towns in New Jersey. Our seniors are a vibrant, active part of this community, and we really would love to have them stay and age in place here. And I think we've been doing a good job with that. AARP did certify us as an age-friendly community. We do have different programs that are available for our seniors. On a state level, there's financial programs. We've got Senior Freeze, which is a property tax reimbursement program. We have the Anchor program, which is also another property tax relief program, all in an effort to help minimize and reduce those property tax burdens on seniors. There's also a slew of medical and prescription and utility programs that are available to seniors. And if they needed help with that, we would be able to help assist. The other is right here, this building that we're in, the DeCorso Center. It's our community center, but it's really our senior center. There's so many offerings to our residents right here. They offer exercise classes almost daily, activities such as lectures, crafts, language classes, tax assistance, transportation to shopping, and a supportive and embracing community. So we do offer a lot to our seniors. So hopefully they take advantage of those financial incentives that are available to them to help them age in place right here in town.
Thank you. Take a microphone.
Sorry.
Ready?
We recently welcomed the first phase of the continuing care community at Lantern Hill, and there's another phase planned, totaling close to 1,000 new residents over 62 who will be living in the southern edge of town on Mountain Avenue. A 55-plus adult community is planned to be constructed also along Mountain Avenue. The senior population is quickly becoming the largest age demographic at 24% over 65 years old in our town. It is certainly the largest voting bloc at 30%. These residents are typically retired and live on a fixed income. In 2021, the AARP age-friendly designation was awarded to New Providence, but how many of these promising age-friendly elements are firmly in place to make our honored citizens want to stay in New Providence for their lifetimes and contribute to our community in ways beyond their tax dollars? According to the 2020 Grata Fund survey, taken by over 800 New Providence adults of all ages, older residents want the following: homes that allow people to age in place, older residents, affordable home services, better connection to local volunteer opportunities, local within-town transportation options, and local activities geared toward adults 55 to 70, and an easy way to learn about them. Unfortunately, their needs are not being met, and as a result, although they'd love to stay, many seniors are planning to move away to save money and live in age-friendly homes. With John and I on council, we will help make a resident-focused collaboration between the borough, senior resident representatives. Thank you.
Anyone like to rebut? Okay, ready?
So of that list that you read, I believe we checked many of those boxes. As one thing that you said was transportation, we do provide transportation, activities. As Lisa mentioned, the DeCorso Center offers many, many different opportunities. Allison Smith is our senior director. She does an amazing job, and she keeps doing better and better every year. So she is very strong, and I have faith in her that she will keep our senior programs going.
As we were talking about staying in their homes. And you know, New Providence is like a town of split levels and colonials. It gets difficult to adjust someone's personal property unless they do it themselves. But as Nadine said, we do have Barabash, we have Lantern Hill, and we do have the 55-plus community that's coming up on Mountain Avenue. That's going to be adding significant residences to the town.
So I just want to comment on, I actually have the results of the Grata survey right here, and many of the things that I mentioned, they actually say in the survey the needs are not being met in New Providence. So there are some things that are available, but it's not the things they're looking for, and it's not enough.
Okay. Move on to round 4. The order will be A, B, C. A, B, C.
Two ABC.
So, what are your thoughts about the borough's mandated affordable housing plan, and how will it impact our borough? We know when you want to start.
One second. for your patience. So the mandated affordable housing that is being imposed on us, it comes into two phases, right? So we have the 2019 settlement where the borough went and presented their option, where we went to we settled, right? So we settled, we were able to rezone some of the Providence commercial districts, the areas behind Central Avenue, to hold this affordable housing. That was done on purpose, right? It was done to take the affordable housing out of our neighborhoods and put it in an area where it's, not that it's tucked away, but it is near everything. It's near transportation, it's near shopping, it's near the schools. So it was done with a purpose. So we're in the process now of looking at that new construction. We have two sites that are currently being developed. One is the Bard property on Central Avenue. The other is on Mountain Avenue, the 55 plus that we were talking about before. Bard is going to be 192 units, and the Mountain Avenue will be 297 units. This is an issue for New Providence. It's going to cause a lot of logistical issues. We need to look at traffic. We need to look at the effects it's going to have on our volunteer EMS and fire department, the added population. What are we going to do? How are we going to handle the additional wear and tear on our infrastructure?
Thank you. Ready?
Can you read the question again? Can you read the question again?
I can.
You can, thank you.
What are your thoughts about the borough's mandated affordable housing plan? How will it impact our borough?
Sounds good, thank you. So as Lisa mentioned, the 2019 plan is underway, and our borough council and mayor before us set that plan up very well and was very forward-thinking. And now this is starting to come online very slowly, but coming online indeed. Now we have 2025 coming up. Our next round is 2025. We don't really know what that's going to look like. There hasn't been any word on the street what it's going to mean, so it can either mean nothing or it could mean doubling our fair share housing again. So at that point, what we're doing on Borough Council is we are planning by educating ourselves, and we are planning by talking to our planners and looking again at what would be the best areas to have this, what would be the least impactful on both our residents, both on our infrastructure, on our police, on our EMS. We may have the possibility of needing to go over to fire or to pay fire and EMS, which would be a $2 million increase to our budget annually. $2 million. So with all of that said, we have to look at our wastewater, we have to look at our roads, but as usual, New Providence is being proactive and forward-looking. So we're considering not only what's happening now, but what's going to be happening in 2025. And I'm sure we will do a great job like we did in 2019.
Our local Republican leadership was not in favor of the Fair Housing Act passed in 1985 and fought the mandate every step of the way, with very little public information sharing aside from very complicated legal documents posted on the borough website, until a court-mandated settlement agreement was handed down in 2019, giving New Providence a target of 319 affordable housing units. Bard and Lindy properties are now being developed into high-density housing complexes that will support 38 and 59 affordable units respectively. Still, the borough's plan is to continue fighting this legislated, court-mandated settlement rather than work together as a community to address the impact and figure out how to deal with it. What would John or I have done differently had we been on council? We wouldn't have put our heads in the sand and wished it would go away. We wouldn't be spending tax dollars to fight the settlement in court and the legislature. Saying no is not a strategy. Our town needs a diversity of housing stock. The current council gave developers no incentive to build such developments in our town, and so now we have to deal with the settlement. It's time to get fresh eyes and insights into this issue. The Republicans in our local government have been in charge ever since this program was established. They're not the ones to count on to fix it.
ABC.
Rebuttal?
Would you like to rebut?
Ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
So actually, that's not true. We didn't fight the settlement. We actually settled in 2019 because we saw other communities around us dragging it out and going through courts, and it cost them millions of dollars. And we looked around and we saw that that was not the prudent thing to do. We are fiscally responsible, and we know that it was coming down the pike. So we settled, and by settling, we were able to come up with fair terms on our say. We did the rezoning in the central area. Okay.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Begin.
So going back historically, New Providence has always fulfilled their obligation for fair share housing. Back before it was this most recent legislation, any number that we have received, we definitely have always fulfilled that. We knew better than to settle because we knew that we would suffer builder's remedy, which would then take the zoning away from us. We wanted to control where the zoning went, and if builder's remedy took place, they wouldn't be able to build anywhere. So there was no way we would want that to happen. So we were on top of it, we were proactive, and we settled.
Thank you. Ready? Begin.
Yes, I just wanted to correct. I didn't say that you were all fighting the settlement. I know that you've written that in publications. I said that we, John and I, wouldn't fight it if we were on council. So I just wanted to make that clarification.
Okay, so round five.
Round five.
We're going to do C, A, B. Our residents contribute a significant portion of their income to local taxes. How do you evaluate whether we are getting the best return on investment for these tax dollars in terms of services, infrastructure, and improvements, and the overall quality of life in our community? What steps will you take to ensure taxpayers are receiving the most value for their contributions?
Our second tax question, I think this is an issue here in New Providence. Property tax in New Providence, as I mentioned, is the #1 concern for residents when we speak to them during our canvassing visits and neighborhood meet and greets. We have the 3rd highest multiple tax rate in Union County, even when accounting for our inclusion of garbage and recycling. Our municipal taxes have gone up every year for the past 20 years, doubling over that span of time. Only recently, our opponents shared some basic information about how our tax dollars are used. Why is it so hard to get explanations from our elected officials? Prudent financial management is not only measured by our bond rating. We need to ensure we're making the right choices for how and where we spend the $15 million we're bringing in from our tax-paying citizens. It has come to light that the borough has recently changed emergency dispatch providers and health insurance providers to save substantial amounts of money. One has to ask, were these alternative options not available to New Providence before this year? Are we truly doing due diligence when selecting these vendors and service providers? We need to look ahead, 5 to 10 years out, and make sure our investments in services and infrastructure will carry us into the foreseeable future. We need a proactive approach, not a reactive one. A complete refresh of our master plan is needed to support those projections. We've had a global pandemic, a recession, rising interest rates, inflation, and changing climate to deal with recently. Our local government must adapt accordingly.
Can you repeat the question?
Our residents contribute a significant portion of their income to local taxes. How do you evaluate whether we are getting the best return on investment for these tax dollars in terms of services, infrastructure, improvements, and the overall quality of life in our community? What steps will you take to ensure taxpayers are receiving the most value for their contributions? And begin.
So as we discussed before, your tax dollar breaks down between the Board of Education, the county, and the borough. The borough, we only keep 20% of that, of which a good portion goes to statutory, and we only have, I believe it's 20% of the 20% is discretionary. So of that, we use that money for all of the services. So your garbage, your recycling, etc. So our services are basically with the garbage and the recycling, we are satisfied with those. But then as you ask about other type of budgeting, how are we satisfied with that? We do have a very proactive capital budget plan. So we don't just react when things break down. We look across the board at all of our resources, our buildings, our equipment, what roads need to be paved, what sidewalks need to be done. And we look at that to ensure that we have money for that coming down the line. So we are always very proactive and not reactive, and our capital budget reflects that, and our process reflects that as well. I think I'm done. Thank you.
So, yes, it's the taxes are an issue, and we all understand that. Like we've said before, 20% of your tax dollar stays in New Providence. Of that 20%, the biggest chunk goes to public safety, which is another large, big issue in New Providence. If you ask someone what they think is important, they would say their safety and public safety. So we spend a considerable amount of the budget on our police force and everything it takes to keep our residents safe. The next biggest chunk is statutory mandatory expenses. We make do with a little bit. So we've run the entire borough, all its operations, including public works, sewer treatment, taking care of our infrastructure, which is the long-term planning, the land use and regulatory, insurance, municipal courts. There's so much. For instance, community activities is at 1%. With 1% of our tax dollar, we can provide all those programs and all those activities for our kids and our adults. So you are getting a lot for your money. If you look at your total tax bill, if it was about $15,000, $3,000 of that stays in New Providence. That's a very small amount of money. A small amount where we make and do a lot with.
Anyone would like to read?
No.
No? Okay.
Actually, can I rebut? Sure. Okay, thank you. So when we talked about inflation and money that we've been spending, our taxes only went up 1.7%. I can't think of anything that only went up 1.7% this last year.
Anyone else? Anyone else?
I think the key word is up. Taxes went up.
Okay, short and sweet.
We're going to move on to the final round.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So this is the final round, round 6. The order is CBA. And the question is, what have you done or what will you do to enhance communication with the public? What have you done or what will you do to enhance communication with the public?
I love this question. This actually is one of the things that I have been very focused on. Once I started participating as a candidate, I was joining the borough council meetings. And I was very concerned about the condition of the website. So happy to say the website has been updated. And I would say that is definitely an improvement over what was in place before. Still has a way to go, in my opinion. The search function is still not very user-friendly. You're still getting information that is 10, 15 years old, showing up at the top of the list and when you do a search. And it's clear to me in talking with seniors that they're not using the website. Many of them don't have computers. They don't have access to the internet. And so what are the right communication tools we should be using for our community? When John and I get on council, one of the first things we're going to want to do is a community-wide survey for as many of our residents as we can get it for all the different kinds of communication tools there are. It's not just the website. Thank you.
We have looked at every different type of communication available, and I think that we do a pretty good job of putting all of that in place. Communication is very important to us. Our residents are our number one asset, and we're open to all residents. And we're accessible to them in many different ways, so it's not just the website. Yes, there's a contact us on the website, but we also have council meetings where the public is invited to come and speak. We've got proof of that in the past couple of weeks where I think I've seen the biggest crowd I've ever seen at a council meeting demanding pickleball. So we had pickleball and tennis crowd, and we listen to them. That's how we respond. Like I said, we ask, we engage, and we respond when we can. work together on direct resident outreach. We have town halls when there's large issues that need to be discussed. Last year, we did a traffic study. We had 4 different open meetings where residents were welcome to come and give us their thoughts on the different traffic studies that were done and concerns within their districts and what was going on there. We have a monthly chat with the mayor where residents can come and sit down with the mayor and ask him any question they want to ask. We do periodic coffee with council where you can come. We usually have 2 different council people available where you can sit down and tell us your concerns. So
Thank you.
we're at every event possible.
Thank
So we're accessible.
Ready? Yeah.
So there are several ways that we communicate with our residents, and as Kathleen mentioned, the borough website is one of them, and that's really our main communication with the majority of residents. And it was just upgraded in July of 2023. Included in that, we still have the Contact Us section, but that is, I believe that's made a little bit more user-friendly. But there's also a way that you can personalize how you want to see the website, and you can create an account, and that account will notify you if your topics of interest come up. So we do things that are not social or not computer-oriented as well. We have a borough newsletter, which goes out quarterly. That includes all information about the different departments, what is going on seasonally, a message from the mayor. We also have an email notification that comes out from our Community Pass, which is our recreation department. And that really gives you notification about absolutely every department that's in the borough, every community event that's going on, et cetera. Our council meetings are on YouTube, so if people are not able to come down, they can see the meeting live. Within a couple of days, that meeting is then broadcast on TV 35. So our seniors who cannot come down, or seniors who do not have computers, can go on to TV 35. But communication is always fluid and moving. We know this. We have our eye constantly on it, and we want to make sure that we have the most upgraded systems or most upgraded methodology for our residents. Oh, rebut, is it in the same order? Okay, so rebut?
Sure, yeah, no, as I said, the website has been updated, but not everybody uses the computers. The newsletter is quarterly. It's not the most timely information, and I think we just need to work harder. I don't think the coffee with council is people, you're asking people to come to you instead of you going out to the community.
Yes. We do go out to the community. We're at every event that you could think of. We're accessible. Everybody comes up to us and talks to us when we're out in public. Besides standing on the corner of Springfield Avenue and South Street, with a bullhorn, I wouldn't know what to do. What else? We're out there and we're accessible.
So when the borough website first came on, we did reach out to residents to ask them for their input. The borough website is always fluid and can always make changes depending on the needs of residents. So if there are any issues with it, I know we've asked you before to come out and give us some suggestions, but we're always open to suggestions, we're always open to growth, and we're always open to change.
Closing statements. We'll now move on to closing statements. The order will be B, A, C. You have 1.5 minutes for your closing statement.
Okay.
Ready?
Yes.
And begin.
So I grew up in Kearney as an only child of a single mom. She worked very hard to maintain our home and to send me to Catholic school and through college. We lived on the same street as my grandparents who helped raise me. What I learned the most from all of them is the value of family and how important family is. And we took that method with our children as well. They went through the schools, the sports, and activities, and I volunteered anywhere and everywhere I could. We are now blessed with my grandson, Alex, who lives with us and is almost 6 years old. We get to experience his childhood with him and watch him grow up experiencing all of the great things that our children experienced. And this is what I have enjoyed the most about this job, is trying to make New Providence an amazing place for all of our children, our family, and our residents to live. and that's why I want to stay on council. New Providence is a safe town. They provide the quality of life and great community program. It is a town steeped in rich traditions where memories are made and where people can look forward to certain events every year that they can take their families to. It is a community of volunteers who help each other and give back. For me and Lisa, it is not about politics, it is about New Providence. And it is truly our families who are New Providence. Vote for Geoffroy and McKnight on November 7th, by November 7th, column B. Thank you.
Ready?
Yes.
Begin.
Volunteering. I think it's just part of who I am. Maybe it's in my DNA. I grew up in Millburn. My mom, she was a young widow, new to this country. She worked hard to hold it all together. Yet despite the hardships, she was always there to help neighbors and friends and being kind to everyone. She is my role model, and I'm proud to walk in her footsteps. That's why getting involved in the borough and borough council came naturally to me. I currently work on 7 different committees and boards. I'm chair of the Finance Committee, where I ensure fiscal soundness and responsibility. Nadine and I co-founded Mental Health Advocacy and Awareness Committee, which is a much-needed committee to open the dialogue on mental health. I'm on the library board, and for the past 15 years, I've had some type of leadership role with the Community Service Association, which is a nonprofit that helps our neighbors, our residents right here in town. As you can see, we put a lot of time and work in our council jobs. We work to make the town inclusive and welcoming. We work to make sure that our finances are buttoned up and that every dollar is used effectively and efficiently. We work to make sure that our infrastructure is sound and well planned for, that playing fields are in top shape, that our kids and adults have a variety of programming, and we work to make sure that our residents are safe. We take time away from other areas to give and work hard for this borough to ensure it remains a place where we want to live and stay.
It was a privilege to be here tonight. Thank you to the municipal chairs, the moderators, the videographer, and my fellow candidates for sharing the stage and our views with our community that we all gladly serve. Democracy is in peril. We all know this. Close to 60 years of one-party rule in our town has not supported or advanced democracy. A healthy democracy requires healthy debate, civil discourse, different perspectives. We have 2 major political parties in this country, and we choose between them when we vote. It is about politics. My opponents have never had anyone across the aisle from them. There hasn't been an aisle in New Providence since 1965. So no one from this council, including my opponents, knows what it takes to be truly bipartisan and to seek compromise solutions to local issues. I believe that we all have a role to play in our democracy at every level, but especially at the local level. This is where we are formed. Our values, our cultures, our relationships, our norms, all begin at home, here in our local community. That being said, if you're someone who votes for the person, not the party, here's why you should vote for me. I have a strong work ethic, I have management and leadership skills, I have community history, I have an inclusive and collaborative approach, I have staying power. I excel at creating order out of chaos, just ask my family. I believe in the rule of law, ethics, science, collaboration, inclusion, and compassion. These values are under attack in our country, and I want to reinforce these values here in New Providence. Thank you.
We'd like to close.
Just a couple more words.
Okay, my job here. We'd like to close this forum by thanking all of the candidates for their participation in our democratic process. I would also like to thank Gary for serving as my co-moderator this evening. Please remember to vote on Tuesday, November 7th. The polls are open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Your polling location depends on your district you live in. This information is available on your sample ballot and on the borough website.
Early voting is another option. There are several locations available, including this building, the Corso Center. Early voting will begin on October 28th and run through November 5th. Voting hours are 10 to 8 at on each of these days, except Sunday, which will be 10 to 6. Other early voting locations are available on the borough website. If you're registered to vote by mail, there are 3 ways to return your ballot. You can put it in the drop box located by the New Providence Library parking lot on Oakwood Avenue, or the Union County Clerk's office in Westfield by 8 p.m. on Election Day 11/7, or you can mail it, ensuring that it's postmarked by 8 p.m. on Election Day 11/7. Thank you and good night.